Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Black History Moments with Terrace. I'm Terrace Bozeman, and I hope you guys are prepared because I am dropping some fresh knowledge on you guys today. Stay tuned into the video to learn more. Today we'll be talking about the Scottsboro Boys, which were 9 African American boys, all ranging from the ages of 13 to 19, who were accused of raping 2 white women in 1931. This landmark was a case that dealt with racism and the right to a fair trial, which every person deserves. The 4 things that went wrong with the case were that they had a lynch mob stand in front of the defendants the entire time while they were telling their testimony. The trial was rushed. The jury was all white, and the audience members were disruptive. Everyone knows from seeing criminal court cases or police shows that when presenting a case, you are supposed to be quiet in the courtroom because the judge and the jurors need to hear everything that's going on. A trial should never be rushed because new facts and testimonies should get the chance to be heard in front of the jury while the case is still open before the verdict and the final decision is made. And the jury members are actually supposed to be diverse. It's never supposed to be all white, all black, all Chinese, all Asians, all Indians, all African Americans. It's supposed to be diverse and spreaded equally. This common mistake is cited as an example of miscarriage of justice in the United States court system. And the story is the group of African American boys were riding home on the train when a group of white teenage boys saw them on the train. So the group of white teenage boys gathered some rocks in an attempt to get the black teenage boys off of the train. They failed, and so the sheriff was called, and they did a search of the train, and the group of African American boys were arrested because 2 women accused them of raping them. The case was presented in Scottsboro, Alabama, in which the African American boys received poor legal representation, and all the boys except the 13-year-old were convicted of rape and sentenced to death. They were sentenced to death because at the time in Alabama, that was the sentence for black men who raped white women. The sentence is only supposed to apply if and only if the defendants were convicted of truly raping those 2 women, which they weren't. But this is a common mistake the legal system makes because it wasn't set up by us. It wasn't built to help us or to back us up in times like this. It was made to put us away, set us back in education, the legal system, getting jobs, help, representation, and everything. It wasn't made for us or by us. Even though the boys were convicted of raping the 2 white women, there was no factual or medical evidence to show that the women were actually raped, which makes perfect sense because they weren't raped. They fabricated the story and lied on the teenage boys. The case was appealed in 1932 with the help of the Communist Party USA and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. The Alabama Supreme Court ratified 7 out of the 8 boys and granted the 13-year-old a new trial because he was a minor. While awaiting a new trial, 8 out of the 9 boys were held in Kilby Prison. The case was appealed twice in the United States Supreme Court, which led to landmark decision Powell v. Alabama in its ordered new trial. During the new trial, one of the women admitted to fabricating the story and falsely accusing the teenage boys of raping them. The jury still found the defendants guilty, but the judge set aside the verdict and granted yet another new trial. The 3rd case had a new judge who tended to rule more towards the defendant's side, and now the jury had 1 African American member. But it seemed that changed nothing because the boys were still convicted of committing a crime when they did not commit a crime. After this case was sent to the U.S. Supreme Court, and all charges were dropped against the 4 out of the 9 boys. The other 5 had sentence of 75 years to death. All but 2 served their prison term, and by 1946, all of them were either released or escaped from jail. One was shot while being escorted to jail. Two escaped and were later charged with other crimes and sent back to jail. The oldest was sentenced to the death penalty and managed to jump parole and went into hiding, and by the time he was found, he was pardoned by Governor George Wallace. He was the last surviving of the 9 Scottsboro Boys, and he passed away in 1989. I hope I taught you guys something new that you have never known before and were never taught in history class. And I hope you guys like this video and subscribe. Remember, press that red subscribe button. And remember, do not underestimate the power of African Americans. Have a nice day.